What's up? What's up? Hello orchid fans, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Gintare and I grow orchids in Scotland. Today we'll have a bit of a different video. I'm planning to move my orchids to the living room. So I'm trying to figure out arrangements, and basically my biggest concern is keeping orchids in the glass cabinet. So let me show you on the computer what I'm planning to get in terms of the shelf, and we can talk more about how it's all going to work, and I'll show you as well the where I would put that shelf and how it will all work. So let's jump on the laptop. Alright, so let's go on Google, and I found this shelf in IKEA. So let me show you what I found. So I want something fairly big, obviously, to fit all my orchids. So I was thinking maybe about this shelf. I feel like this might be big enough. And that's what it looks like. Not too sure about these legs, so I don't know if it's possible to remove them or not. But it's quite bright. It's got glass shelves as well, and it's also got the electric sorted out for so I will be able to actually connect my lights, and there is an outlet already included in this, so I thought that would actually be quite good. So the main thing is obviously the measurements. So I'll take a note of these measurements, and then we can go and measure out my shelf and see how we would do this. But I think you will remember, and I'll show you later, but I've got some big plants at the top, and I won't keep them on top of this shelf. I would want to put them at the bottom of the shelf, which means that this shelf will have to go, and I will only really have 2 shelves left. So that's what all the measurements are going to be about. I'm trying to figure out, is that enough? It does say in the description that there is these shelf heights can be customized, so I'm hoping that there is enough holes on the side to be able to put the shelf at whatever height. So we might still be able to put 3 shelves in, but just have smaller gaps between them, and because my plants are mainly miniature, I'm hoping that should be enough. So it's a shame it doesn't show us the height of the actual shelf. It includes the legs, so we'll need to account for that and maybe just take some away from that 175 centimeters to kind of estimate, what is the actual shelf height. But hopefully we will be able to figure it out. And the other thing is, I had a look, and one shelf can, the weight on the shelf should be more than 5 kilos. So we'll need to think about that as well, because my ceramic pots are quite heavy, so we'll need to see how many pots max I can put on the shelf. So let me show you as well how I'm looking to arrange this in the living room, and then we can go upstairs and have a look at my current shelf. Okay, so here is the living room, and basically we're doing some refurbishments and they're kind of pretty much done. So we're thinking to just reorganize this whole space. So at the moment we have a massive desk here, which is actually a dining table, but we're never using it as a dining table. It ended up being just a desk and some drawers on the side. So what we're thinking to do is actually replace this desk or this table to make it an office desk, because it is, as you see, it's just a computer here and nothing else. So if that is a lot smaller, and probably we're gonna have it, with the drawers attached, so that those drawers will go, that desk will be much smaller. So it's probably just gonna take half of this space between this wall and this chimney wall.
And then my orchids would go here. So this is where the glass cabinet would go. It would go against this wall here. It's quite bright because the window is next to it, so it can get fairly bright. We'll need to obviously make sure the orchids don't burn when the sun hits them directly. But hopefully, because they will be kind of in the corner, I think majority of it will be hidden from the direct sunlight. So, and you know, it's Scotland, so it's not like we have massive light and massive sun kind of going up through the window. But that is basically the plan, to put this glass cabinet here and put all the orchids in it. So yeah, let's go upstairs and have a bigger chat about what are other kind of plans for them. Okay, I hope you guys can see what I'm doing, but I've got the measuring tape, so I'll try measure this and we'll see where we are and what, you know, how much bigger or smaller it is in comparison to the glass cabinet. So we've got 57 centimeters across here, and I think the glass cabinet, I've got my notes here, it's 66. So it's actually going to be slightly wider, and that might actually allow us to fit an extra pot. So that's actually good to know. So it's a bit wider than this. And then in terms of how deep it is, this one is around 30 centimeters and that one is 36. So again, it's actually going to be slightly deeper. It's going to go up to here, which is not an awful lot of space, so I probably won't be able to really do it free, have 3 rows, because normally now I keep 2 rows, but then it means that my plants will probably be a little bit more spaced out, which is good enough. And then how tall is this one? So this one, from the bottom shelf to the top shelf, this is actually 150 centimeters. So, and that one was 175, but we probably have to take about 30 centimeters off for those legs. So I would maybe say about 145. So if we put 145, so actually it would then become smaller. It would go about that tall. So just slightly lower. But I don't know how big those legs are, because 175 goes up to here. So if the legs are maybe this tall, then I've got a bit more space. So it's quite difficult to say. You can actually see that high, but it would actually get, this is 150 here at the top of the shelf. So you've got, 25 more centimeters. So probably the actual shelf would be very similar, just as tall as this one, I would say, if we kind of exclude the legs. So in terms of putting my tallest plants at the bottom, so my tallest plant is probably this Olafia Petersii, and I'm thinking to actually maybe move it into a pot like this, so it might go even a bit further up. So how tall would that be? You can obviously tell I don't really use this very much. This is very unusual for me to be doing this kind of stuff. So that would be around 50 centimeters maybe. My Lycia primulina is quite tall as well. I keep it on the windowsill in this glass vase, and that one is around 50 centimeters, let's say, as well. So we would need at least 50. So let's go down again. Right, so hopefully you can see the bottom shelf. So if we had this shelf, the bottom shelf, go 50 centimeters, that would go up to here. So it's actually not that much. I thought it would need to go a lot more. So even if it says 60 centimeters, just to have a bit more space at the top, because we would probably have to fit some lights on as well. So it will probably go up to here. And then we would have, let's have a look how much space we've got from here all the way to the top. And you probably can't see the top, but I've got about 90 centimeters. So 90 centimeters, if we divide it into three shells, that would be 30 centimeters each, which is about this much. So if that shelf was 30 centimeters tall, that would fit all my plants that are on the shelf. And this one would be okay as well. And I think this one would be more or less okay. So let me take you up again. Okay, so you're currently looking at one of my shelves, and that is, that is basically the gap that you've got. And this gap currently is 40 centimeters roughly. So if we went 30 centimeters, that would be about this tall. So you can see all my plants will comfortably fit in that space. And I think, some of them could even go a bit narrower. Some will go slightly higher so that I can fit lights on. So I think we'll actually be okay. We should actually be able to have 3 shelves. So, because what I was actually thinking is that I would have to have, let me see if I can rearrange a little bit. So I was thinking that if I can only have 2 shelves plus a bottom shelf that is for taller plants, I would have to actually reduce the amount of pots I've got. I don't want to get rid of any orchids, I love them all. So what my plan was, and I might still have to do it, a little bit to make sure everything works out. So what I started doing is I started combining multiple plants into one pot. Like this one, for example. This is my Cattleya schilleriana, and this is my, goodness, I always forget the name of this. So this one is Neophoenicia falcata Goja fukurin, there we go. And they're both quite small plants, so I moved them into this 9 centimeter pot. I think it look really, really cute together. And this, as soon as I repotted, this new fan started growing a new root, so I think it's enjoying fresh media, which is good. But the Cattleya started yellowing its oldest leaf, so this one is probably not too happy that it had to move again, but I'm sure it will manage, it will be fine. So that saves me a pot, so I can have 2 plants in one pot, which means that I will have 1 pot less to put on the shelves, to worry about, to water, etc. So I also moved my tolumnias into one pot. So let me show you. So here is my tolumnias, and again I moved both of them into one pot. So I know it maybe looks like they're a bit cramped, but honestly there is so much space in the pot. You can see there is plenty of space. So I think they will be more than happy sitting here together. Tolumnias are not very keen on having a lot of water in the pot, they like to dry out quite quickly, so I think actually this might help them to dry out, even better. So we'll see how they do. And I had plans for a few other plants to combine a couple more, but I'll have to see how it all works, how much space I've got, if I need more space, or if that's okay. One thing I would like to do actually is combine a couple of bigger pots, but that's a challenge because all the plants that are in those bigger pots are quite vigorous and they've got really big root systems. So if I would combine, 2 vigorous plants into one pot, they might not have enough water and food to survive, and to kind of to thrive. So for example, let me show you my Berioda. So this plant here, look at the root system on this. So it's already kind of occupied the pot fairly well. It's not like it filled the spot, completely, but this has only been recently repotted. It's got this new growth. It is growing super well. I showed it to you a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like it's now a lot bigger than it was back then. And this one is also, it's now starting to grow roots, so it's going to fill the spot in no time. I will probably maybe repot it because it's sitting in leca at the moment. I might repot it into bark. But I'll keep it as is, because now that I'm moving all my plants back into the living room, I'll have to assess, what is the environment like and what media the plants are doing better in, because, everything changes. It feels like, okay, I just moved it into a different room in the same house, so it should all be the same, but honestly, it's, we will just have to see how the plants react and whether they dry out quicker or slower, etc. So my biggest concern, and this is what I would like your help with, guys, my biggest concern with the glass cabinet is the air circulation. So I feel like there won't be enough air circulation in the cabinet. This is an open shelf, and I've got these little fans. I don't know if you can see them, but every shelf has got these little fans that, are kind of circulating the air on the shelf. And if I move them all into the glass cabinet, I probably won't really be able to use these fans anymore, because, there won't really be much air to circulate in that cabinet. So I am a little bit worried about that, but on the other hand, I think it might improve the humidity levels, because, it will all be enclosed, so, the water evaporating will just kind of be in that enclosed area, so it should give the plants more humidity. But yeah, the air circulation really worries me, because I feel like my plants might start getting more rot, and that's something I'm quite worried about, because even then, for example, when I go on holiday, I would shut the shelf down, so I don't want any lights or any fans running when I'm not at home, for a week or so. So what I do with my plants, I move them onto the windowsill here. This is a north-facing window, so it never gets direct sunlight, but it is quite bright. So I would move my plants here, and then, they wouldn't have any air circulation, and I would normally water my plants before I go on holiday to make sure, they don't dry out completely. And when I come back from holiday, a lot of times I would actually notice that some plants are, they might just start kind of having a yellowing leaf, or, maybe one of the oldest pseudobulbs is dying down and kind of rotting away. So, I think that even just for a week, having plants in the area where the air is not circulating can already, induce rot a lot quicker. And yeah, this is what I'm kind of not wanting to do. But I have seen other people growing orchids in glass cabinets. Miss Orchid Girl has a glass cabinet, and she grows them somehow in there. And I know other people do that as well. So if you have experience in growing orchids in a glass cabinet, let me know how you overcome that challenge. How do you deal with that kind of limited air circulation? What I was thinking might be possible to do, but you would have to get the shelf and actually see how it goes together, and if you could do it. But I was thinking to maybe remove the back glass, the back kind of wall. So get rid of that glass, and then have all these little fans on the back of every shelf, and it could kind of suck the air, from the back into the shelf, and kind of, just circulate the air that way. But again, I don't know if that's even possible. I don't know if you can take that glass out, and would that shelf still kind of go together, if you know what I mean. I don't know if it would still work, so that might not even work. Obviously I could keep the doors open for longer, but the whole point is, if those orchids move downstairs in the living room, that space is obviously a lot more active, so we've got a dog, the dog will play with the ball, etc. And I don't want my plants to get damaged by that. So actually having that protection of glass is, you know, it is quite important, and I think it will look nice as well. But also it will protect the plants. So, you know, I am keen to kind of keep the door shut, you know, have the glass around the sides as well. But the back one, obviously, will go against the wall, so, you know, well, it doesn't have to go right by the wall, but, you know, even if it is kind of standing, you know, 15, 20 centimeters away from the wall, to have that, you know, enough air to circulate, that might work. But I don't, as I say, I don't know if the structure of the cabinet will allow us to take the glass out, so we'll have to just see how that works. But yeah, let me guys know how you overcome that challenge. If you tried glass cabinet, or, you know, if it didn't work, let me know why. You know, and if you had it before and you maybe had some challenges, you know, maybe you have some thoughts how you could overcome them. I would really appreciate your help and your advice, because yeah, I just have a lot of kind of thoughts and I'm not too sure how it would all work. The other point I was mentioning is the weight. So a shelf can hold up to 5 kilograms of weight, and these ceramic pots are actually quite heavy. And the smaller pot, I had a look online, and I could actually weight it as well, but I will trust what it says on the product description. The smaller one weighs 400 grams, and the big one weighs 800 grams, which, you know, it is actually quite a lot. And if the shelves are wider and I could put an extra pot on the side, then I could potentially have 12 small pots, and that is quite a lot of weight. That would actually be, you know, 5 kilograms almost. And, you know, the plants themselves and the media inside doesn't really weigh a lot, but obviously there will still be some weight. So I'll really have to watch how I'm arranging the plants. The big pots, you know, with 800 grams, I really can't have more than 4 probably pots on the shelf, you know, and that would be it, you know, 4 big pots and nothing else. So I think my bottom shelf will have quite a bit to carry, because I would have, you know, this terracotta pot is quite heavy as well. So if I had my Psychopsis, my Eulophia and Berioda, that's 3 big pots that would go on that shelf. So that would be about probably 2.5 kilos. Also the media inside the Eulophia is quite heavy as well, so it will probably weigh quite a bit. And then my Lucia Primulina in that glass vase, it doesn't weigh a ton, to be honest. So, and also another one is my Sherry Baby. So let me take you down to show you. So you can see my Sherry Baby, it just sits on this little chair by itself. Doesn't really get that much light, and I am actually getting a bit worried that this is not enough light for it. And you know, it's got all these new growths coming through, and I feel like it's not getting enough light. So I would prefer if this would sit in the shelf. I mean, this is just a monster. This is way too big for any shelf. So what I might do, there is actually 3 plants in this massive pot. This pot, honestly, it must be probably 30 centimeters wide. Let me have a look, since I got, you know, this amazing tool now. So let's have a look what it is roughly. Yeah, so it's about 25 centimeters wide, so massive, like seriously massive pot. But as I say, there is 3 plants in here, so if I maybe shared 2 of these divisions with someone else and only had 1 left, I could potentially move it into a 12 centimeter pot, or 15 centimeter would be the biggest it would get. And then I'm thinking maybe this could also go at the bottom, you know, and kind of sit together with my big plants, and then it would get a lot more light, which hopefully would encourage those new growths to grow better, and hopefully I would get better blooms from it. So when I got it in bloom, and those blooms finished, and then I got a new spike afterwards, and honestly it was quite small compared to what cherry babies can do. And I honestly think it's to do with light. It's just not getting enough light, you know, and it could do so much better. So although I have this massive plant, you know, with 3 divisions in the pot, you would think, you know, this would give me the best flowering show ever because it could have at least 3 spikes, if not more. But it doesn't, because I think it's maybe just not getting the best conditions at the moment. So I'm hoping that, yeah, this could go in that cabinet as well if there is enough room there. But I think, you know, it would be nice to have my plants in a living room. I would be able to see them more, and, you know, they would be actually part of the kind of the living room decor, you know, whereas now it's all very, you know, scientific and kind of very practical. They're just sitting in the corner in my spare bedroom. So, you know, it would be nice to be able to arrange them in a way that is actually, you know, nice to look at, and, you know, something that's kind of part of my home rather than just, you know, something tucked in the corner. So we'll see how it goes. I'll make sure that I film my whole kind of, you know, moving the plants around when I get to it. As I say, it's nothing really super urgent. I'm not looking to do this tomorrow or anything like that. We've still got some rearrangements to do the living room first. As I said, you know, we need to get the new desk and do other things. So this is not going to happen immediately, but, you know, I just want to think everything through before I actually do it. And I know, of course, there will be things that I haven't thought about, and we'll just find them out as we go. So we'll just have to go through it, see how it goes, and deal with the challenges as they come, I guess. So that is it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, your help will be much appreciated. So leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to not miss out the whole move situation. So thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next one. Bye!